Viewer discretion is advised. Content might be too kino for consumers. Following symptoms from viewing this content may include, but not limited to, the sudden urge to subscribe and smashing the like button. Stay kino. Stay comfy.
What up, Robert?
Yeah, we have Rob in the house, Mr. Robert Montana Justice Cobra himself. How's it going?
So we got Michael Black in chat too. Awesome.
Mike, yeah, that dude.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Let me tell you something about that guy right there. He's a real one. How have y'all been doing this week?
Doing good.
Pretty
Any
good.
news? Any news?
Nothing worth mentioning.
Nothing
Yeah,
worth
pretty much.
mentioning. I mean, yeah, I feel you there. There's
Beetlejuice is supposed to go supernova any minute.
You know, I was watching that and I put in that chat, they lied to me. That
What they
30-minute
lied to you about?
countdown. Well, I didn't know when that 30-minute countdown went down.
They're all doing that. They're just trying to be able to quote unquote fucking predict it. But I mean, it could be anywhere between now and who
What's
knows
the possibilities of it turning into a supernova, though?
100%.
100%.
Yeah. Once the star goes red giant, it always goes to, eventually goes to supernova.
You know, if I could see it in my lifetime, it'd be a sight to behold.
Well,
One of the brightest objects in the night sky.
Well,
Yep.
Yeah, we'll have a new star. Now the question is that probably last the rest of our probably millions of years,
Well,
1,000 years.
It's 642 light years away. So we probably wouldn't see it.
Oh yeah, Tina Turner died.
Unfortunately.
yeah, the late great legend
And then one of the Smiths
Tina Turner.
players, band members died as well.
I heard about that. I don't know which one though, but I heard something about that.
I thought it was
There
the
was,
bassist, but I could be wrong.
There was an actor as well.
Mm-hmm.
They always go in threes, they always say.
Yep.
Let me look up who it was real quick. Remember,
Oh,
I saw it the other day. I thought about it, and then I totally forgot about it. But I was going to bring it up to my wife because.
Yeah, we're losing a lot of greats.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's because we're all getting older.
Ray Stevenson. He was in Thor, Volstagg, Star Wars actor.
Ray Stevenson.
Yeah, Ray Stevenson dead at 58 4 days ago. So unfortunate news indeed.
It just doesn't sound familiar for some reason.
Yeah, well, I didn't actually recognize his name as well, but when I looked at the picture of him, I was like, oh, yeah, it's that cat. You know, I've seen him in quite a bit of things, but...
Yeah, it's one of those people that I'm sure you would know if you saw him, but you had no idea.
Oh, was he the one that was going to be coming up in the next movie? That
he was actually in the process of filming a movie when he had to be hospitalized,
Mm-hmm.
and then then he died. So
I think they were going to use him in one of the upcoming Star Wars movies. I thought I could be wrong, but I thought he was going to be like he's in I think he's in Ahsoka as one of the.
Well, maybe he can come back as a hologram. My kid's last day was. That's cool, Rob. I imagine your house is about to be hectic as hell. You know, it's always good as a parent when you see your kids going to school. You know, you get that, like, they're getting their education first and foremost. But when you get your house, you know, it ain't so chaotic. But then that last day of school hits and it's like, here we go again. But it's a good thing. Spend as much time with your kids as possible. Tonight, I took my 13-year-old to his first, like, you know, little double date he had with some friends or whatever, and they had a parent supervising them, and then somehow or another somebody had reported somebody had shot off a gun twice or something in the theater. It threw everything in chaos. Everybody was running out. Cops came, SWAT came. And come to find out, they're saying that there might not even be any kind of proof of anybody shooting guns. It could have just been somebody overcautious. You know, always better safe than sorry, though, is what I say. You never want to get the phone call that your kid's in any kind of dwelling that, you know, there might be an active shooter. It'll mess you up. And you know, I know it messed him up. Me and him just had a long conversation. That's part of the reason we have a late start, as always. Always something come up, but you know, something like that happens. You just don't never know. It's kind of traumatic. You know, these kids are going to school having active shooter drills. You know, you go to the movies thinking you're gonna have a good time watching Super Mario. Next thing you know, they come over the intercom and say, "Hey, there's a shooter in the building," and you don't know. You know, I mean, we see so.
Oh, excuse me, dang.
But luckily, everybody was safe and sound. And we're good to go there. Anybody in chat watch that the lack of PlayStation showcase they had?
I did not.
You did?
I have not watched it.
I watched the whole
Pulled up
thing with my brother.
the news on it, but
Yeah.
What was your thoughts, Himbo, on that?
There was some hitters, but there was just not enough.
Wasn't enough meat on the bone.
Usually Sony can really pull through each year with some like solid hitters, but I guess this year's just been pretty dry.
Well, the one thing that like Sony there, and this is coming from the Sony punk himself, 2 out of 10. That says a lot right there. And I mean, from what I've seen, I mean, what we got Spider-Man, and this is my take from it. Spider-Man, Metal Gear Solid 3 remake.
Yeah.
And
I've seen a little bit of that.
And then we got the handheld little thing they showcased there. You know, well, Assassin's Creed's like a given, but you know, it's like the majority of the titles that they were showing off is going to be on Xbox.
Yeah.
You know,
memed at the time.
Yeah, well, that Xbox is better than PlayStation anyway. I mean, I think that's subjective to an extent. I mean, that's not to say PlayStation don't have something up their sleeve. I personally was expecting to see something with Wolverine, Silent Hill. Them not coming out with that, I think, kind of really hurt the show. Because, like, hypothetically, if they would have came out with Spider-Man, Wolverine, Silent Hill, that Metal Gear Solid, that would, to me, that would have been like a solid, you know.
I mean, in a perfect world, realistically, I would have both consoles anyways, just because there's things that I love, you know, from from both camps, to be honest. I mean, I have a
Well, I
PlayStation
would if they
4
didn't
Pro.
make.
I'd like to get a
if I didn't have
PlayStation
to-
5 at some point, but
If I didn't have to pay for service on both, I'd have both. But I'm not paying
Yeah.
double service. In fact, I
Yeah.
had a PlayStation, 4, and I never bothered to use it. I mean, literally, it's sitting in the box.
oh, I haven't even fired
Like
up
the
my
Pro.
PlayStation 4 Pro in like literally 3 years, 4 years, probably 4 years at least. It's just sitting
Well,
there.
I gave it to Joey just because I got tired of it just sitting around doing nothing.
Yeah.
But it was brand new.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what makes me question, like with what I've been saying time after time, the shelf
Mr.
life of these
Dan.
consoles. How's it going, Mr. Den? I mean, these consoles last around 5-8 years. And they've already been out a few years. This is the IPs we're seeing, and we already know what could be cooking in the back.
Mhm.
And it's like, well, by the time they come out, like, well, damn, the next console is going to be coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like,
Yeah, but I
what
think
are they
everything's
gonna do?
delayed. Due to COVID, I think everything is going to be pushed back. because
COVID,
why we've had-
smovid. I think that's a
I think
bullshit
because
excuse.
of the delay of COVID, I think that video games were slower to come out. I think that the next console will be pushed back. I don't think it'll come out at the same.
Do you think
rate.
these developers were prepared for how powerful these consoles allegedly were?
I think so. I think a lot of developers are getting ready for these generations to be quite spaced out.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I can see that.
I think that it's going to be probably another good 3, 4, maybe even 5 years before we get another solid like next gen console.
Because
I think they're going to spread it out.
the jump from 360 to the Xbox One wasn't as drastic as I guess some developers were hoping. So, but the jump from Xbox One to Series X and same with PlayStation, it's a pretty big jump.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was meaning. Like, if you look at the size of the games alone, like how recently they were talking about every gaming outlet's been talking about, oh, Mortal Kombat's performing a fatality on your hard drive. Fatality on your hard drive.
They weren't talking about it. They're
No
fucking
pun
whining
intended.
about it.
Well,
They're
my
whining
thing
about
is
it.
like,
So
okay, if you
stupid.
take a game that's like Unreal Engine 5, or if you take a game equivalent to like graphics, just the overall graphics of the game, and depending on how long the campaign is, or depending on how long just the towers or anything is in the game, I mean, I think it would warrant 100 gigabytes. Now, if you look at a game in retrospect of like Call of Duty, what was that one that they had, Modern Warfare, where it was closing in on like a 1/4 terabyte?
Right.
You know what I mean? But like, oh, that's fine and dandy. Like, oh, we'll give that to them. But in a fighting game over 100 gigabytes, get out of here. Then, no, that's killing my console. It's killing my hard drive. And it's like, whatever, dude.
It especially sucks when these consoles are being shipped pretty light in terms of
They are getting
hard
shipped
drive
pretty light. I
space.
have to agree.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of that though is like with the Xbox Series X is that everything went from being a regular hard drive to an SD, to a SD hard drive. So now we're all getting digital. All memory based. So that there's a big, they dropped the size of the drive to deal with the price. But I think I wouldn't be surprised. Like halfway through the console series, they usually have a revamp. Come out with a new version of the same console. I have a feeling that when that comes out, there'll be a lot bigger drives in it. That'd be a big thing.
Mortal Kombat 1 reboot, new finishing moves. Why not call it Mortal Kombat? See, I don't get caught up on titles of games. It could be damn called Mortal Kombat Liu Kang Buttfucks Raiden, and I'd still play it.
I've seen that one. That's a pretty good one.
You know what I
That's a
mean?
banger.
Like, I mean, I'm just saying, like, we could sit here and argue why didn't they call it this or that, or like,
Well,
it
could be because they want to go a different way with it, so it doesn't fit in the exact same mold as the rest of the games.
Well, and the whole concept is that you're going to start making it to where it fits your narrative, right? Like, aren't you literally starting the story over?
Well, that's where it's supposed to be.
And you're going to modify it yourself. So, I mean, it kind of makes sense. It'll be Mortal Kombat 1. I kind of get that.
Well, I mean, if not, it's going to be the one to play. I mean, it's already leading Sony's pre-orders by far.
Well, the one I saw that I was interested in was that new Marathon game, because I remember playing Marathon back on a friend of mine's Mac, back in the 90s, and that was an awesome game.
Mm.
In fact, in comparison to
touched
most of the
Mortal
PC
Kombat.
games at the time, it was like night and day over the rest of them. So I'm curious if, will they put that effort into this new title or not? Make it the next game.
Well, they should. I've seen a lot. Most of the hype I've seen was for the marathon for the most part. I personally didn't have the opportunity to play it, but I feel
things that a lot of features that you take in those type of games, games like that today, a lot of those came from Marathon, like before any of the other games. They were always like a step ahead, in game modes and what they did in the game. Graphics was a lot better, but of course that's back in the day when the Mac was considered king of graphics. Everybody thought, and it was a lot better than the PC at the time. But of course, eventually PC caught up and surpassed the Mac. But it was definitely a good game franchise.
Right. What up, D Rhino? I thought he was already in here, actually.
Yeah, he is. He's been in for a little bit.
I thought so. Well, I hope you're having a good Friday too, D.
Oh yeah, I hope everybody's having a wonderful Friday. I hope everybody had a wonderful week as well.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all think y'all would be acquiring the handheld for the PS?
Well, I'm not getting the PS. Wouldn't get the handheld, but
at some point I want to get a PS5. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
One of these days I definitely want to get a PS5. Just because there's so many games now too that are cross-platform. Plus, there's just there's stuff on PlayStation that I want. Plus, I'm kind of a game nerd, anyways. I would buy the damn thing. Again, I have a PS4 Pro sitting over here. I haven't used in probably 4 years, but I'm gonna keep it just because that's.
Well, for me, it's
there
has to be a title that comes out that I really want, and I'm willing to buy the system for.
Well, I got the PS4 Pro for Horizon Zero Dawn.
See, I got it for Last of Us. When Last of Us came out, I had a buddy of mine who he bought it. He wasn't using it, and so he borrowed my welder and was like, "Hey, you want to swap?" Actually, he tried to give it to me. I'm like,
the damn welder. The welder strikes again. Wow.
Well, what did y'all think about the Spider-Man trailer? Have y'all seen that?
Good. I haven't played the previous one, but
I like the
Spider-Man suit. It's pretty dope.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about the whole print. What's the guy's name? Like Craven the Hunter or some bullshit?
Yeah.
That part is like, I don't know. It's like, why are y'all going in that direction to where you got a fucking poacher going around New York trying to get everybody?
I don't know if that was Lizard in the trailer, but it kind of makes sense. Him coming to poach Blizzard for some whatever
but
reason.
that ain't gonna be the only thing. He's trying to poach spiders and fucking. I don't know. I just didn't like the whole. To me, in all honesty, I didn't even think it looked really. I thought it looked decent, but I don't think it looked too far from.
I won't play it unless they have an acrophobia filter in the game.
Yeah, you just don't even see Spider-Man the whole time. You just see webs coming out.
Webs shooting out.
Last time I bought a console was so I could play Fallout 4. Otherwise, I'm a cheap ass when it comes to games. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I have a theory: Venom is Peter, or Peter is Venom. Spider-Man 2 trailer looked a little weak to me. Yeah, Mr. Den, that's what I thought. Like, it just looked like a slight improvement from the last one, and it just kind of blew me away. Of like, that's the narrative that they're going with. Like, I feel like there's like a whole lot more enemies that they could have incorporated into the game versus that.
Where's my boy Carnage?
Yeah, where's old Hobgoblin?
Well,
you can still bring back Electrode, and there's a whole lot of enemies you could put in there.
Well, maybe they're in the game, just not in the trailer.
Maybe.
Yeah, but I mean, the majority of the game just looked like a whole bunch of people in like just jungle poacher outfits in New York City. To me, it just looked like it didn't fit. Like it
Yeah.
looked off-putting to me. Like seeing them in the game, it just was like, no, I'm good. I mean, hopefully, hopefully, it's successful. I wish them nothing but the best with it, but it just didn't seem as pleasing to me than the original. The original was like, holy shit, this is like something fresh, new. It looks like they got the web slinging down packed, and it's like with this one, I just don't see how they could really be too more innovative than what they've already achieved. And I mean, that's that happens a lot with some video games.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If the
Yeah, well,
game
I'm
plays
not saying
perfectly
that.
fine as it is. I'm willing to play the same thing rather than drastic changes.
Every really good game that I know and love, or used to know and love, has been damaged at least, if not destroyed, by them trying to change shit just to change it up for the sake of change.
Like
and breaking stuff that is good.
Well, that's how I feel with bringing
Halo.
poachers to New York.
Like Halo, Battlefield. Yeah, if it's not broken, don't fix it. There's certain things that there's a reason why people go back to it release after release after release. Not only does it become familiar, but they actually enjoy the features of it. Then all of a sudden, the developers are like, "Well, fuck you guys. We want to bring in some new people." Yeah. All right, we won't lose our old fan base. They'll still love us, even if we try to pander for this fucking group over here. See Bud Light.
Well, you got
just saying.
Yeah, well, Target's losing money.
Target's losing huge money.
Yeah, everybody's losing. Everybody's losing money.
Yep, everybody is losing money. And I mean, it's just, I don't know. When you target specific things just don't seem to go very well. I don't know.
Well, when it comes to that, like what people would quote unquote say like woke agendas and things of that nature, like my thing is like, if I was a supporter of the LGBTQ community, like why wouldn't we band together, make our own brand, cater to ourselves rather than
I don't know,
going to these companies and saying, well, you're not inclusive of it, you're not inclusive enough. And yet I would be more upset to be like, well, where the fuck were you companies at in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s? Like, where were y'all at when we were being persecuted for our lifestyles then? But now all of a sudden, you can make money off of us. And then in return, you're losing money.
It's the pandering.
Don't actually care about anybody. All they care about is money. They see an avenue to get money. Go.
Right. Yeah, say it, Jason. You got
which part?
They found out there's no pot of gold investing in the rainbow. Like, I mean,
God damn it, Bobby.
I mean, I get the whole like being inclusive thing, but I mean, when it's at the stake of like costing your company $4 billion and up. Well, I'm talking about like from Bud Light to,
that was 8.
Bud
Light lost $8 billion, almost $8 billion in a week, and Target lost $9 billion in a week. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't have a problem with it either, but my problem lies with the fake pandering and the virtue signaling bullshit.
Well, if you care, you should care. You should really care. You should not just pretending to care just to make money. And that's where I have an issue. Like I said, I don't have an issue with it, with being, woke, actual woke, but but just shoving things down people's throat or pretending to care when you don't really care. That's the issue I have.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's more people that are left-handed in the world than people that are in the LGBTIQA plus community. But how many left-handed things are there out there for people? How many people pander or companies pander for for lefties, even though left-handed people actually die every year for using stuff that's meant for right-handed people. Like, there's so many different weird arguments and fucking different angles with this whole thing that when it comes down to it, it's just fucking, it's money, and it's, it's just pandering. It's pandering, virtue signaling BS. I just don't understand what the
Well,
hell's going on.
in other news, Bud Light's making good targets. Boycott these little companies there, boy. Look,
I heard about
Well,
that from Kid Rock, actually.
I don't have a problem with the company trying to be inclusive, or
Yeah, I don't
I
either.
don't have a problem with that. I don't think that should be boycotted. But at the same time, like I said, like what you're mentioning, they should actually give a shit and care and put some effort in. If they want to support a community, they should actually support the community and put their money where their mouth is, not trying to get money,
right,
by pretending to be something that they're not they don't give a shit about.
Mm-hmm.
They really give a shit about, then put their money where their mouth is.
Right.
Well, besides talk, in correlation to people losing money. Yeah, right. What's y'all's thoughts on this Golem? They've lost
obviously
on that one.
One of the worst games of
the
new
decade.
generation.
You think Golem's going to be like the new ET?
Oh, boy.
I don't think anything can be that bad.
Well, I mean,
I don't know. Well, yeah, probably not.
I mean, that game didn't just kill itself; it killed the whole console it was on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it killed the Atari.
At least some of those old ET games have some value. This one, not so much.
No, the original ET had a shit ton of value, especially if you could prove that it was one of the ones that came from that landfill.
Yeah.
But
I considered buying it when they originally announced it. I was like, oh yeah, I was kind of hyped for it, like a Golem game. But it was like how I was telling y'all last night about, like, if it would have been like actual Smeagol and like tell the story of how he came into possession of the ring and just go from there. To me, it almost looked like they looked at Stray and was like, oh, well, there's a cat platform. Well, let's do a Golem platformer.
Yeah.
It's just
for me, and I don't know, I haven't played the game, but it's like the art style, the direction that they went doesn't appeal to me. I mean, I would have thought it would have been better to go with something more like the movies, as far as the way Golem looked.
Right.
So I didn't really like it, but that, that's an artistic style. That is just because that doesn't appeal to me doesn't mean that that's wrong.
Sure.
Well, I mean, you could say objectively though the game is trash.
Well, I haven't played it, so I can't.
I'm just saying we don't have to play it at this point. I mean, it's kind of like a unanimous decision. Like the jury has came in with the verdict. The game is trash.
The verdict is in.
I've had a lot of fun playing games that the game was trash. So.
Well, that's because most of the time you have trash opinions.
Oh, yeah. That's rough.
That was an objective statement. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just, I didn't mean that with any malice intent or anything like that. But Golem is a video games with Dr. is podcast. Oh shit! Shots fired. That was a suicide burn right there.
Goddamn.
But no, I mean everything that I've seen on it has just been terrible. Like, when you see stuff like that, I'm all about formulating your own opinion and playing a game. As like you were saying, you've played games like that, and then it turns out it wasn't as bad as what people proclaimed it to be, in your opinion. But it's kind of like me, if it's a mixed review type thing, if it was like a half and half, like, oh, this game Golem, it's kind of good. But then when you're seeing that it's like one of the lowest scored games of the year, everybody is collectively saying, not just reviewers alike, but actual gamers are saying. I mean, I can pull up the reviews on Microsoft right now, and they're it's ass.
They said the same thing about Cyberpunk, and I love that game. I thought it was an awesome game. I can understand some of the hate, where it came from. I see it, but I didn't have those issues, and I definitely enjoyed the game. I played that game for what was a month or so. to finish it, all the different
I
endings.
played it for pretty much. Well, I didn't get to play it for quite a solid month because I had those health issues in the family. But
You know, I
But
think that comes down to
yeah,
and then
like
look at
what are
Fallout
you willing to
76.
tolerate too?
yeah,
All right, for example, like Redfall, when we were doing them one things, and that one vampire wasn't even supposed to be awake, and it was just going, and they're like, "Oh, defuse this thing," and they put a vampire right on. I'm done. Like, I uninstalled the game. Like, I can no longer support this.
right.
Your game is broken. I can't do it. And some people
Your
have
game
that
is bad, and you
mentality.
should feel bad.
You know,
Mm.
I mean, Cyberpunk's kind of the same way with a lot of people. They seen the game, they had high hopes for it. They had been hyped up for the game for many years. The game came out in a state in some people's opinion, was just straight up unplayable.
Mm-hmm.
They
Well, no, yeah, if you had a crappy system, then yeah, it was definitely unplayable.
well, I mean, I think there's a lot of variables to that, though. You know, it's because like you have some things that don't crash the game, don't mean I play the same way accordingly. Like there is, you know, ways to recreate glitches and bugs in the game, and it just happens and happens, and then you just get fed up, and you're like, I'm not going to actually give the game the chance that it deserves, because you're at that point. Just uninstall, refund, give me my money back.
Right.
Cyberpunk was broken on every platform, including PC.
Well, I disagree with that one because I played it on the Series X and didn't have a single glitch.
Was your
problem when I
glasses
played it.
on?
Yes, they were.
Okay, I just had to check. I played it. I had some crashes.
You were on an older system too, though.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing. If you release a game on a previous console and say it's supposed to work, well,
Oh, I
I'm
agree
gonna
with you on
expect
that.
it to work. You know,
It should've worked.
regardless of what console you're playing it on, it's, you know, I get your statement there, but it's like at the same time, a game developer puts out a game and they say, "Hey, this is supposed to work for what your system requirements," and it
Well,
doesn't
no,
meet
and I agree with you
expectations.
on that, but I don't agree that it was crap on every platform.
No,
I do
yeah, no,
agree
yeah,
that
I'm
it
not.
was fine
Well,
on the higher end platforms. Now the PC, that's a hard one because PC could depend on the type of PC you have. You have a high
yeah,
end
there's
PC, you're
variables
gonna have
there.
a lot less problem.
I played it on the One X, and I had crashes here and there, but I mean, it wasn't by any means unplayable. I mean, I had a couple of things happen here and there, you know, but it wasn't like I never really had like cars popping in when I was driving. I never had, you know what I mean? I never had any of those serious ones happen to me. It probably in the month that I played it, it maybe crashed 10 times. So it wasn't, from my experience, it wasn't that bad. But
well, like I said, like for me, I didn't buy it right away either, because if you remember right, you guys wanting to buy it, and I was like on the fence. And you guys sent me the trailer, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll buy it. So I was like, I wasn't really all hyped up, but when I played it, you know.
Well, me and Michael played it day
first
one.
patch.
Me and Michael played it day one, and it was still. I mean, yeah, it had more problems in the beginning than it did towards the end of me playing it, but you know, it still wasn't like broken. I could still play it and enjoy it. But I mean,
well,
you know,
as of this post right here, Golem developers apologize for the game's underwhelming experience. The Lord of the Rings Golem is the worst reviewed game of 2023. And I kind of admire, you know, the people owning up to it, and they're like, you know, sincerely apologizing for saying, I've read the statement that they had, but they were just saying for the underwhelming experience people had with the game, they apologized for it. Wasn't their intentions, and they know that their product is a reflection of that, and they apologize. They would want to put out a game to where people would enjoy it and stuff like that. But it's kind of like, at what point are you going to go? Like, what do you do after that?
Well, see, there's my question on that. It's like, how do you know you're not going to put out a game that's that bad? Because
maybe their glasses wasn't on.
Don't you focus test a goddamn game, or don't you play your own goddamn game? It's hard to say that you don't. Like, I mean, I used to do focus testing for Westwood Studios. You know, I used to go in and check out their new games that were coming out, and you know, they paid us in video games. That's how we got paid. You get to pick out a video game from their library when you got done.
Tight.
And except for one time, I think they gave us the Red Red Alert soundtrack.
The Philo
instead.
station.
I used to be part of a focus group for Cadillac.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for their advertising and stuff. Yeah, they
That's
used to pay me to watch their ads and rate them, do like surveys.
There
Yeah,
was
that's what
some.
we did. We
Mhm.
listen to voices of characters, and they'd ask us our feedback. Be like, oh,
Yep.
you know, I like the way that one sound. I don't like this one. I don't
Mhm.
like the design of this character. Then we go over like box art, sometimes
Right.
box art, or even like different play style. They'd show us part of the game. We play part of the game. They give us our opinion. So I mean, they did focus testing. So they gave an idea. You'd have a group of people, and they give back your feedback, and they'd have an idea what people thought were good or bad.
Makes you wonder if anybody playing the Gollum game played it and they were like, "Wow, this is hot garbage."
Or
You guys
did they
fucked
focus?
up.
Do they actually do focus testing, or do they just
I'll bet they don't.
throw it out?
Well, the thing is too,
That's what a
it's
beta
like
test is.
how you were saying, like your experience of playing a certain game was not that bad. Maybe when they played it, they were just like, "Well, this ain't that bad," and it's just like when it came out, it was like, "No, it is that bad."
Mhm.
I mean, to each is its
Yeah.
own. Could you
Well,
imagine
like I said,
building a
on the
project and you have your
Right.
hands in it, and then it's like when you're playing it, you're like, "Oh yeah, this is what we've been working towards," and then it's just like, I mean, you've got a connection to it, whereas a
Right.
gamer is just playing it and going, "No, this is trash."
Well, I mean, it
Yeah.
definitely was a bad issue with say Cyberpunk when it came out. They didn't even let people like the media actually play the game. They just gave them videos,
Mhm.
and that was kind of a red flag. It's like, why didn't you let the media play the game?
Yeah.
Because there were fucking problems.
True.
Well, you remember when
Especially on the
Sonic the
crappy
Hedgehog
console.
movie came out, or like the first trailer came out, and they said, "Let's rework the design for Sonic. Let's do this. Let's do
Yeah.
that."
Yeah, because the design of the character was awful.
Well, I mean, with what you were saying, as far as damn well with Gollum, they had enough feedback from the trailer saying like, "What have you done to my boy? Like this looks like shit. This looks like shit." And then that was what, like last year, sometime around there. So they had
Yeah.
plenty of time to do something with it.
Yeah, and how long does it take to rework one character, the main character? I mean, it's basically rebuild another model.
Yeah, but what if the game was bleeding enough money to where they felt like they had to release it, or else
Well, then
if they
that's
delayed
how
it again,
bad
they're
these
starting to
companies are
lose
running
money.
themselves. That it's constantly an issue that they have to, that they're bleeding so much money. I mean,
well, I mean
why are they
that
bleeding
too. I
that
mean,
much
at
money?
what point? All right, so with that logic, though, I mean, what's this kind of like with what we were talking about going woke, going broke? It's like if you're going to put out a product that's going to look like a hindrance or a reflection of your ability to make a game, now people aren't going to trust your ability to make a game. So when you come out with another one, there's still going to be that thought process of like, hey, that's that team that made Gollum. That's that team that made Redfall. Like, no, like CD Projekt Red. Oh, well, that's that team that made Cyberpunk. I'm never pre-ordering another game from them. I'm never doing, you know what I mean? So like, at what point could they potentially be hindering their reputation throughout the years?
Oh, they are. They're definitely are.
Well, that's what I'm
Especially
saying.
CD Projekt Red.
So, like at
Especially.
that point, in my eyes, it's like, well, fuck that. Let's just scrap the project, start fresh with a whole, and that's kind of like,
Well, I mean, there's that whole story of Duke Nukem. Where the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, the first game was awesome, right? And the guy made so much freaking money that he kept coming out with a new version of it, and every time a new, graphics, platform came out, or like I say, Unreal came out, he could redo the whole fucking game again. Like he'd scrap everything, and then they'd restart making it from scratch again.
Well, I mean, that was back when you could make a game with $20 though.
Well, they remade that game so many
$20
times
and also buy you a house.
That eventually the all the money they made from the first one, they burned right through it and went into bankruptcy. Eventually, like when it finally came out, it was another company that got the assets from the bankruptcy and then put it together and threw out a game.
Right.
I mean, eventually you do have to put out a game. You have to cover your bases, but.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. At like what point are you going to start taking into consideration that you're actually hindering yourself more than actually benefiting from releasing the game. I mean, if you come out with the game and it's already the worst rated reviewed game of 2023, that's not a good look.
Well, it's also a worse look if your company goes bankrupt and you're no longer a company to make the next game. I mean, that's how.
Well, that goes into question to where you can say, if you're not competent enough to make a fucking Gollum game to begin with, do you deserve to be bankrupt?
Well, yeah.
Well, you get. I mean, you get.
You know, I'm just saying on the
I know that.
devil's advocit. You know, it's like they do have to come out with a game, and you're right. They should be doing, but they should be doing focus testing. They should have.
Right.
I don't know why Gollum didn't do focus testing. You know, or
well,
maybe
first off, who was asking for this game?
Yeah, wow. I mean,
that's the big.
Asking, you look at all the great games, though. Who was asking for Quake? Who was asking for? You know, no one was asking for a game. The game came out. The company came out with the new features, and bam, we all got hooked and liked that game.
Well,
so,
yeah, but that was when.
That's
that was when you're talking about the before times back when we thought kicking a can across the yard were fun. You know what I mean?
Before times.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like our experience was running around outside, kicking cans across the ground, or like damn shooting animals with BB guns or shit, you know,
mine was the Netscape billboards.
Well, that, and you were talking about magnifying glass and ants in the backyard.
Well, yeah,
you know, I mean, back when, but then when like games like that came out, and it was like, oh wow, I could shoot aliens, I could do that. Like that was just like holy shit, you know. And then nowadays, if them same games was to come out, have you ever went back and tried to play them? I just went back and tried to play Doom 64, and I tell you, it was a fucking horrible experience.
I actually tried to play Ocarina of Time a few years ago, and I was like, oh my god, I don't know if I can do this. And it was just the feel of the mechanics of the game and the graphics. I was like, dude, I don't know if I can fucking do this. Well, you know what I mean?
On that aspect,
I spent thousands of hours on that game.
I threw a game on I used to play called Operation Flashpoint. It was like a game back in the early 2000s. I loved the game at the time, but I actually found a copy of it on Steam and I downloaded it and I tried to play it, but it was so clunky because we've improved so much in the mechanics of gameplay that the clunkiness of the game ended up being a factor that I stopped playing it just because I couldn't, you know, easily move around the character and have as much fun playing the game just to how clunky it was. So, I mean, there's some of those revolutions. That's why I do agree with remakes to a point where if you could take an old game that was awesome and remake it to today's standards so that the clunkiness and movement are gone and the graphics are more updated to, you know, so that's pleasing to the eye, I think that's a good thing.
So with that being said, are you saying in 20 years from now we're supposed to be expected to see a remake of Redfall and Gollum?
No, those aren't good games enough to get remakes in 20 years.
Okay. I was just making sure.
I mean, remakes are for games that were awesome when they came out, but aren't good enough to today's standards or to the standards of when they.
The Redfall 20th anniversary.
Right. Turd edition.
Could it still
bloodsuckers, more like butt suckers.
What'd you say, Himbo?
Could still happen. You never know.
Oh yeah, it could definitely still happen. I
mean, if it gets a cult following, and then it, you know,
10 years from now, you might have people on YouTube going, "Man, this game was the best game of 2023."
Yeah,
this hidden gem of a game.
Well, and you know, they could get to at some point they might get to the technology level to where upscaling and re-rendering a game is just, you know, like transferring your VHS from VHS to CD-ROM is now. Like you just put it in a machine and a few hours later, you know, you've got a fucking Unreal Engine, whatever, you know, if it's easy enough and the assets are cheap enough that you still own the rights to most of the assets or all the assets, they might do something stupid like that. Like, oh, you know, Redfall 20th anniversary. Who knows?
Well, that's one of the good. One of these I like games that use like Unreal platform because that makes if they come out with the next version, it makes it more easier for them as a game company to import, you know, the older versions into the newer platform. Because it's standard.
Well, that's where you know, when you're saying like if you go back and it's like it's not up to today's modern technology, with these game developers making games like Gollum and Redfall to the extent of like they not had the experience of playing the previous great games to know, okay, this is the bar that we need to try to hit. This is what we need to improvise on. This is what could make this game a great game if we do it right.
Well, imagine somebody that's grown up their entire life playing, like, let's say, Nintendo games, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've played fucking Mario 64 and Super Smash Brothers and, you know, all of that shit. They've been nothing but Nintendo. Then suddenly they decide to go and get you know, they want their degree in video game development or whatever, you know. And they go and they get their fucking degree and fresh out, they get a job with, you know, like Infinity Ward or whatever. Now all of a sudden they're developing Call of Duty games. You know what I mean? Oh, there goes Himbo. They're developing Call of Duty games, or, you know, 343 Studios hires them and they have to develop Halo games. You know, like, are they really going to be able to, I guess, change what they feel is a video game? Does that make sense? Am I kind of getting through what I'm trying to say a little bit? Does that make sense?
Just elaborate slightly.
You're trying to update their perspective because they've been playing Nintendo games all
their
life.
Right, yeah. They've done nothing but played Nintendo games their entire life, right? They grew up playing just Nintendo games, and all of a sudden they have to develop Halo 6, you know, or whatever.
Well, it's definitely going to influence their viewpoint, that's for sure.
Exactly, right. So what a good Halo game is to them, while they're implementing all these brand new changes to this Halo game, the core audience of the Halo games that's been around for 15, 16, 17, now 20 years is going to think it sucks. But these are also the same people that think that, you know, the Switch sucks. Does that make sense? It's all about an artistic perspective.
And I think that's where I was saying a lot of the people that are playing these games, like, to their perspective, it might be like that's the bar they were trying to hit. That might be what they was accustomed to.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it's kind of like the general consensus on it. That's why I say objectively the game is trash, because, I mean, I grew up my whole life playing Atari games, Nintendo games, PlayStation, Xbox, all alike.
Right.
Name any great games you could compare Gollum to.
None.
What the fuck were they? You know what I mean? Like, if they had a perspective of like, well, this is what I'm used to making, and this is what I, you know, it's kind of like, well, what was your angle there? Or like even Redfall
version of Oddworld, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, that's just throwing dirt on that game's name at that point. You know, it's like they're probably like, no, like, don't compare us to that. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
But I mean, at least on the horizon, we do have hope. And what I mean by that is Summer Games Fest is around the corner. And I mean, from what I've seen, there is a slew of games that we're probably going to see there.
Hopefully some good
Like I said,
ones.
I am interested in the marathon game. That's the one that's got my interest.
Yeah, well, there was what was that? Dogmas?
Dragon's Dogma.
Dogma. Yeah.
Oh,
that
Jesus,
was
seriously?
Yeah, that was showcased. Also, people were hyped for that.
So good.
There was that. What's that one game? Hell Diver or something like that. People were interested in that.
Alan Wake 2.
The Alan Wake 2. That was going. We'll go into that before I go into the Summer Games Fest. They said something about they're going to be doing digitally only. What's y'all's thoughts on companies starting to come out with stuff like that?
I think it's a sad day.
Well, I mean, to be honest, they're coming out with systems that don't even have CD-ROM drives anymore. So why not come out with
my thing is like, if it's a game that requires internet to play it, I could see, like, let's not even do a physical copy to that degree, because, like, well, it requires internet to play it, so there ain't even no worry of, you know, if your internet goes down, you still won't be able to play it.
My problem with it, and this is really Other than the nostalgia, of course, because you guys know I have physical copies of a lot of games. I have a pretty good sized collection of that stuff, going all the way back to PS1 when they were doing discs, Dreamcast. But my thing is that originally when they made the jump from $50 to $60, quite a few years ago now, one of the ways they justified that jump is that they said that the cost of making the discs was going up. And then when they went from 60 to 70 for the base game, they were starting to say the exact same thing. Well, we're still making physical copies. We still got to pay people in Mexico to print out these discs. So now when they go to physical, or when they go to digital only, does that mean that the price of the game is going to drop down? Like, are we going to be paying 50, 60 bucks for it?
They never go down.
Or
they always go up.
That's,
I mean, come on, we all know that.
Exactly. So if they're
they use every
developing the game,
excuse to raise the price up that they can, but they never bring the price back down unless they're forced to.
Right. Yeah. If the physical copies go away completely, then I mean, $70 for your little chunk of all of that development seems a little heavy to me. If you're just getting it off of the cloud or just downloading it, I don't know. I still miss the physical copies.
I'm kind of impartial to it to a degree. Like I don't care.
Discs on floppy.
Mm-hmm.
Just I used to collect physical copies, but then getting married and having kids, space. It's just they just sit around collect. Once I beat them, I just throw them on somewhere, and then they just sit there.
You got to remember the way the future too. I mean, they're saying that generations in the future are going to have almost no chance of owning house ownership. So where are they going to put stuff? So I mean, having things digitally, NFTs, stuff like that, allows them to own more things that they don't have to worry about storing anywhere.
Well, imagine hearing imagine the sirens blasting, and it's like, evacuate the area immediately. Evacuate the area immediately. And imagine that one dude who's looking at his fucking 1,000 game collection. You know what I mean? Like, how the fuck, how am I going to grab all my shit and get, it's like, hold on, I need time here. I need to get the bubble wrap out. I need to get the boxes.
Well, I mean, you don't have to, we have to make that choice. Like, do I save my kids or do I save my video game collection? It makes it real difficult there.
My choice is easy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm snagging the Xbox and the PS5 and I'm out the door. I mean, that's it.
I can hear the same damn alarm that I am.
Right, y'all grab the shit. If each one of y'all can hold 50 of these cases, we can all get out of here. But what about my stuff?
I'm grabbing my SSD with 3 terabytes of hentai, and I'm out the door.
Out the door.
That's why it's a portable SSD.
I mean, I'm gone. I mean, and then you got people that will argue the games that require internet to play them as a issue.
There he went again.
He's having internet issues.
Yeah.
But my thing is like, even to hell, even to watch his stream right now, you got to have internet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Right. Like, you don't really see too many people complaining about like, well, in order to watch the Kino Korner, I got to have data.
Right. Well, I mean,
I got to have internet.
Like that's why now internet's considered an essential utility.
Exactly.
When I was young, no one had it, I mean, shit, I remember having it for years before anybody else did that I knew.
Hey, if I wanted to talk to my friends, I'd just throw a dead cat at their window. That's just the way it went.
Oof. That's what
that probably happened too.
Man.
Called the catapult.
I thought that was like the damn Pet Cemetery like spinoff or something.
Not to be confused with Trebuchet.
That's the old OG version of Stray.
Yeah.
That was the prequel. Mm-hmm. And he keeps bouncing in and out.
Yeah, he does.
We're gonna have to start a GoFundMe for this man's internet. Yeah.
I was thinking of sending him a webcam.
Yeah, I mean, I probably got one somewhere around here.
Probably.
But that's what always made me question about, internet's the future, digital's the future. It's the sad truth of the reality, but I mean, and I've seen people actually saying that, like with Alan Wake 2, that they are not going to they're not going to support the game or buy it solely based on
Now,
that.
here's my issue with digital, and I'll put it out here. And I have a good example. All right. Now, so far it's worked out still, but do you guys remember Ultraviolet?
Yeah.
You bought DVDs. It came with the Ultraviolet code.
Yeah.
Does anybody know what happened to Ultraviolet? I mean,
Mm-mm.
they closed down. They shut down. And technically, all your DVDs streaming, you still have access to, as long as you had merged your account with a different provider, let's say, Walmart streaming or Vudu or some of the newer ones. But if that link were to ever get broken, you lose all those stream
It's
videos,
gone.
digital
Yeah.
videos you bought. And that's the issue. It's like we buy this digital media, and we're like, oh yeah, we have a copy of this. I own a digital version, but then all of a sudden the company goes down, and there goes your copy. It's not so big. Like you said, not that big a deal if it's an internet game, but if I buy a single player game, where I play it on my, no internet needed, and then there is no physical copy, and then the company goes down, and you're no longer able to get it.
Well,
that kind of sucks.
What's the average playthrough of a game, though?
6 hours, 12 hours.
Well, I mean, let's just bump it up and let's say 50, 60. If that fucking company goes under and shuts everything down within the 50, 60 hours of you playing the game, yeah, I could see that. But after the point, you're going to kind of be like, well, I got my money's worth as it is.
Well, yeah, but then what about like retro? Like I love to play retro games. You pull up old Nintendo games or old Sega games.
There's a way around that. We've done that.
Well, now, but what about the future when everything's digitally encrypted and you now don't have access to that digital media that you paid for?
Well, what about all the games that I own digitally, and what happens if my account gets banned or something like that?
Yep.
I lose access to all that, right?
Showing your wiener on stream, get you. Count ban.
That actually doesn't get you banned. I've tried.
Really?
Yeah. Twice. I've seen it both times.
Gotta talk about the wiener.
I don't know. I think it's. I don't know. I think it's just a future that I don't think we have any control over it. I think these companies are going to start pushing it more and more. It's less of a hassle, like Jason was saying, for them to have to get the disc, the cost going into it. Yeah, they're still charging us the same amount, but from their perspective, it's like if we can cut corners, make more money in the process.
Right.
Well, here's the thing is that, they will push us that way until as a group we push back. I mean, there's been so many examples where companies have tried to push things along, and then the community pushes back and they have to revert. They have to go back to doing things the way we want.
Yeah, but man, you know what?
Now, it's like a fight we want to make. That's a different story.
Me, honestly, I could fucking care less. I want to play Alan Wake 2. It's been a game I've been wanting to play, so it's like one of those things. They're like, you're damned if you do, if you do, and damned if you don't. I'm looking forward to playing the game. The first one was, in my mind, it was pretty good. There was a part of the plot that I didn't necessarily think was even remotely feasible to put in the game. It's kind of like I don't. Well, so like imagine. All right, so the premise of the game is pretty much you got a guy. He writes horror stories, and he's like this damn proclaimed writer. He comes to a small town. He's working on a book, and everything that he starts writing is coming to fruition within the town. These creatures are coming at him and stuff like that, and it's this evil entity. The author's
creating his own nightmare.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, and he gets trapped in the world of what he's wrote, and it's kind of confusing. But then out of nowhere, like towards the end of the game, there's like his so-called guardian angel type character. This entity comes to save the day, and it's this dude in a fucking deep sea diver suit. And it just, to me, it was just so out of left field. It was just really? That's where you went? That's the direction you went there?
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
It just confused me. I was like, I don't, maybe they'll emphasize on it a little bit more, or maybe they just like how we were talking about perspectives. There could have been a subliminal message behind it. You know, his daughter like allegedly had like drowned in some water or something. Maybe that was like, I don't know.
Right.
Maybe to me it just wasn't a nice fitting for it. But I'm hype as hell for Alan Wake 2. I thought it looked just from what we've seen thus far.
What system was the original one on?
Oh, I think 360.
Was it 360?
Am I correct on that, Himbo? You probably
it
know
was
that.
360.
Yeah. And then they kind of did like an expansion type game DLC, but it was like an actual game that I can't even remember what the hell it was called.
Scuba Steve.
Now that I think about it. No, it was like
Yeah, Robert says
Scuba Steve saved the day. That was pretty much what it was. Like Alan Wake was like, I can wipe my own ass, and Scuba Steve popped up and was like, I can help you wipe it.
See you later, Stinky.
But the second one, I mean, it looks like he's still in the same location, writing another story, and stuff's coming again. And you know, I mean, graphically, it looks way better than the original. But I played the remastered one on the Xbox. So I'm just, you know, it's one of those things like if you play one game in a series and you see a second one come out, you kind of hype for it. Same thing with the Remnant. I'm waiting on the second one of that. I'm waiting on Hellblade 2. You know, waiting on Mortal Kombat 12/1. You know, speaking of that, right now you can go on. It's one of their Twitter accounts, or you can just probably look it up online, like Mortal Kombat stress test. You can pretty much enter it in to apply to be a part of that. You'll at least have an opportunity to have early access to.
Oh, see that's what's nice. At least they're doing that so that when they launch.
NetherRealm Studios have done that on the past few games where they want to see the server stability. They want to see how everything handles. They get feedback on everything else, and plus it gives people an opportunity to play the game early to see like what they need to work on as well. Hitboxes, the frames within the actual combat, like what it's just feedback in general. And I always respected them for that because, like you said,
the only issue I have I've seen some companies do like Bethesda is that they had a beta test for Fallout, but then they launched it right after they did the beta test, which it really didn't give them any time to make any changes. So. It was like,
well, that's their stupidity.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like if you're gonna do a beta test, there should be a time period, enough time for you to then make
like months.
What the feedback is. Yeah, months. So I mean, it's like they have these early betas, but then it's like they're launching it within a week or so later. And it's like, well, that doesn't do much good,
right?
If our feedback doesn't have time for you to go back and make changes,
right? Doing anything on the server crashes the entire server. Send it.
Which on going into the Summer Game Fest, what I was talking about there, it's confirmed that they're going to have over 40 publishers that will be taking part in the event this year.
Wow.
It's pretty
That's cool.
Hell yeah. And it's looking like Activision, Amazon Games, Annapurna Interactive, Bandai Namco Entertainment, Behavior, Capcom, CD Projekt Red, Devolver Digital, Digital Extremes, Disney Interactive, Electronic Arts, Epic Games, Focus Entertainment, Gearbox, Grinding Gear Games, Hoyoverse, Kabam, Larian, Level Infinite, Magic the Gathering, NeoWiz, Netflix, Nexon, Niantic or whatever that is.
Niantic.
North Beach,
they're the ones to Pokemon Go.
Paradox, Pearl Abyss, Phoenix Labs, Pleon, PlayStation, Pocket Pair, Razer, Samsung Gaming Hub, Second Dinner, Sega, Smilegate, Square Enix, Steam, Techland, Tribeca Festival, Ubisoft, Warner Brothers Games. I know that personally is going to be. They're going to do a world premiere for MK for actual gameplay there, and then it closes out with Xbox. So you got some heavy hitters there between Xbox, Ubisoft, Warner Brothers.
I actually like Annapurna Games.
PlayStation, Annapurna.
They're the ones that do a lot of the walking simulators hunt and fetch kind of stuff that I like.
Very
I'll
much an
just turn
indie studio.
Yeah, I just turn my brain off and play those. Like What Remains of Edith Finch is still hands down one of my favorite games. I love that game.
I like that game.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That was a hell of a game. And like if you were really vigilant while you went through the house
Mhm.
and played the game and studied everything, you'd pick up on so much shit. There's so many tiny little details. It's a hell
You
of a
know,
game.
my favorite part of that game was when you were playing the brother working at the factory.
Yeah,
on
that
the
was
line.
a trippy play. Yeah.
That was like an immersive type deal where you're trying to get everything through the conveyor and stuff like that. And
Mine was the little girl.
the
Where
one that was tripping.
Yeah, she was hungry, and then you had your choice. I mean, you could either eat like toothpaste or the berries, the
some kind of
nightshade
yeah.
berries. Yeah,
She ended
and
up
then
turning into a bird.
an owl. Yeah. Not to spoil it for anybody. All 5 people that are watching the podcast
Oh well,
right
you
now,
know,
but
they these people
it
don't play
is.
games.
Yeah, but it is one hell of a great game. I that's probably one of
Yeah.
my top 5 favorite games, just for story and detail and Easter eggs alone. It was a hell of a game.
I'm trying to remember
So
if I
take that.
finished that game or not.
You better. I 100%
Probably not.
of that sumbitch.
Yeah, I did. I think I did as well.
I remember playing it. I just don't remember if I finished it.
Such a good story. Such a cool story. But I mean, I can, I can turn my brain off and play those games, just get immersed in it.
Well, I think that game hits a sweet spot as far as like a single player campaign. The narrative was there. You kind of knew what you were getting into from the beginning of the game. And then it was just,
Mm-hmm.
the immersion alone from the characters that you were portraying. And it just, it, to me, it was like that perfect time frame of like, okay, I've been playing with myself for long enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was just a really good, chill, relaxed game with a really good background story and real good. I mean, everything. I don't know. I liked everything about that game.
What do you think Activision's going to be showing off?
Modern Warfare 3.
Probably the expansion to Modern Warfare 2. I think there was rumored to be one.
Yeah, it is. Don't forget Modern Warfare 3, though.
Bro.
The game that's not coming out this year, the Call of Duty that they're not gonna drop.
Yeah.
Modern Warfare 3.
So hyped for that.
Warzone 3. Warzone 2.5.
I think Warzone's in a good enough place that I don't think they need to continue making, too many improvements.
They could have stopped a long time ago.
Yeah.
I mean, literally. But I don't know. Go back, make a campaign, single player campaign for Black Ops 4 and call it done. So
what was that you were telling me the other day, Jason, about something along the lines of like a Master Chief collection, but with
Oh yeah. I'm glad you reminded me of that. I can't remember the name of it, but there was studios, several of them were already out that were making their own servers, own versions of the old Call of Duty games. And one of them they were working on was an actual true Modern Warfare 2. Well, they got a cease and desist letter from Activision. And then another one, God, I can't remember the name of the companies. I could look them up, I guess. But another one closed down their servers in lieu of knowing that they're going to get cease and desist from Activision. And basically, they were just like private servers where you could go and safely play Modern Warfare 2 without hackers, without, any of that shit. And you have to actually own the game to be able to play it. Like, you couldn't just go in there and play it on your PC. You'd have to have Modern Warfare 2, or you'd have to have Modern Warfare 3, or you'd have to have, Advanced Warfare, Infinite Warfare, or whatever. You'd have to have the game to be able to play the game. But they still sent them cease and desist letters, and I think that they're going to do something maybe like they did with the Master Chief Collection, where Activision themselves bring out like a classic hit list of Call of Duty games, and you could go back and you could actually play, Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer, but upgraded and all that stuff. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I think that would make sense as to why all of a sudden, because some of these companies have been actually active for a couple years, and Activision hasn't said anything about it. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I mean, I think that I'd be pretty hyped if they did that. That'd be pretty awesome. I think I would most certainly wouldn't mind going back and playing some of the classic Call of Duties, kind of like what they did with Modern Warfare, where you can get Modern Warfare with Infinite Warfare in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Same concept, but I mean, that would be amazing if they did something like that.
I think Summerfest has the ability to come out with like 14. Like with all them names there, I believe they're we're gonna get hit with it.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you think they ought to charge for a collection of cards like that?
I mean, depends on how many titles are in there, but I mean, shit, if it's all digital, which it probably would be, I would imagine. I mean, if you're looking at 4, 5, 6 different older Call of Duty titles, I'd pay $120 for it. You know, I'd pay like Master Chief Collection prices for it, especially if it was with the campaign and multiplayer and zombies. Like shit. And all of a sudden, all of these brand new updated servers, you know, are populated with people that aren't, you know, and they're actually maintaining the game and the servers so that it's not full of hackers. Dude, that would be sick. That'd be amazing. And I think they're kind of trying to. I totally would. I think they're trying to catch lightning in a bottle anyways, with going back to the whole Modern Warfare 2, and now Modern Warfare 3. I think that it just kind of makes sense for them to do like a Master Chief type collection. But we'll see what happens.
The previous games that they've came out with too, that I mean, if you look at Cold War and Vanguard, they weren't the most positively received.
Cold War was good. Vanguard sucked.
It was better when they first released it until they started screwing with it.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm not saying that it was like completely terrible, but I'm saying in like comparison to previous installments of Call of Duty, you know, the transition there was a little weak.
Well, and then I mean this with Modern Warfare 2, you know, I'm so burnt out on them doing the same shit. Plus, there's so many game modes that I want to play. Like, I want to play DMZ. I want to play Warzone, but I don't really have anybody, again, to play those with me. You know what I mean? And multiplayer is just full of people with $160 fucking controllers. My Walmart $50 controller can't keep up with that shit. I'm not jumping around corners and crap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But my God, if they brought some of those back, they could even do it by developer. You know, bring out one set that's all Treyarch games, one set that's all Infinity Ward games. You know what I mean? So you had all of the Black Ops, all of the Modern Warfares, you know.
So that would be doable.
That would be amazing. I mean, imagine being able to go back to Black Ops 1 and play multiplayer or play the zombies and not have invisible people or people spawning, you know, fucking kill streaks on the ground and shit like that. Like, it would just be, that would be awesome. That would be so worth it.
I personally think Xbox is going to come out ahead.
I think so too.
Versus PlayStation?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at, all right, so hypothetically, like with well, not hypothetically on this one, but with all the games that they revealed at the PlayStation event, a good majority of them's coming to Xbox. If you look at the Summer's Game Fest, how many of them would you say are going to be coming to Xbox? And then right around the corner, we have the Xbox event. So we already know they're all going to be on Xbox. With the exception of, like, you know, a few like heavy hitting IPs like, you know, Spider-Man. What else? Yeah. I'm really excited to see Starfield come out, just because I think it's going to majestically crash and burn. Well,
and I kind of want to watch the carnage.
Yeah, and that's where like a lot of people are just like hanging it on like Xbox's future
Right.
on one game, and I'm like, no, dude,
Mm-hmm.
like with that alleged leak that we seen last week, even if that's not true, that's still what Microsoft could
Mm-hmm.
potentially have in their pocket.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
don't
I'm
see a
like,
reason why they couldn't do, every single one of those
yeah,
games.
yeah,
Personally, I mean, yeah, I'm not into the whole video game bureaucracy of it, but I don't see a single reason why Microsoft couldn't go to Obsidian and say, hey, guess what? Here's the deal. Here's, however many $1 million you're going to remake New Vegas 2 or Fallout New Vegas, or you're going to make Fallout New Vegas 2. Like, there's so many different things that they could do with it, but
well, what's to say they don't show off something, just like a little tease,
mhm,
like, hey, we really ain't got nothing. Throw some, make chicken salad out of chicken shit real quick.
mhm,
Let's tease the people. Let's
mhm,
give them a 2025 release date.
mhm.
Give them something to look forward to because they're all saying Xbox is fine. But if they know we got this in the oven,
Right. Imagine this, okay? Imagine this. Just a 5 or 10-second bumper where they don't say anything, but it's just a panoramic, like a panning view of Good Springs on Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah.
So if you
Well-
know the game and you're an actual fan of New Vegas and you immediately recognize that, the internet's going to lose its fucking
dude.
mind.
They'd be dissecting a 10-second clip 1,000 times over.
Million times over, and they wouldn't have to say a single word in it. Just Good Springs, Unreal Engine 5, just perfect. It's almost like it's just a video capture.
Well, I
You
mean,
know what I mean?
what I would do if I were them, I would put in production of making Fallout New Vegas 2, set up the main game, and while they build the world and build the game itself, work on it, use that engine to import a remake of New Vegas, the
Sure.
original. So you get the new
Sure.
engine, you import all the old story, all the old. Obviously they have to redo a lot of assets. We all know that, you know what I mean. But it would basically be a digital, graphics update, but use the new engine that they're going to be using, and that gives them, one team doing that, just remaking that, as a remake to get us something sooner while they make the New Vegas 2, and get that out in 2-3 years.
Yeah.
But it's I can't think of a game that I've seen more people clamor for either a remake of the original or a sequel to than that game.
If they found a way to remaster and upscale New Vegas, and they were able to somehow port it into, like you said, into even like the current, wouldn't even have to be Unreal Engine 5, just the current, what is it, 2.2 version of the engine that they're using, that they've used for Fallout 4 and Fallout 76.
76.
Imagine how much time that would buy them,
While they make the next one.
Till 2030 when New Vegas comes out. You know what I mean? New Vegas 2 in 2028 or 2030 or whatever. I mean, my God, 2030 is 7 years away. That's
Well,
not
they
that
still got
far away.
what is it? Outer Worlds?
Outer Worlds by Obsidian,
Outer
yeah.
Worlds.
I enjoyed
Yeah.
the shit out of Outer Worlds, but I don't think they did enough with it. They had a couple DLCs.
Why
but
aren't they supposed to be coming out with a sequel?
I thought they were.
I heard
That's what
something
I was
about it,
hearing.
but I haven't heard any confirmation.
Yeah,
And I did enjoy
that. Could
too.
be
I didn't
something
enjoy
that
it like
they
I
announced.
enjoyed Fallout.
It could, yeah.
Wouldn't that be fucked up though if they announced that, but the code name on the leak was New Vegas 2?
It'd be a troll from hell.
Now, what would you do if somehow or no? I don't even know if timelines would permit this, but what would you do if somehow or another the lore from the Fallout and Outer Worlds kind of merged together?
Yeah,
I mean, they could do that.
I don't know. if they
Well,
would,
I'm just spitballing at this
it would-
point. Like, as far as do you think that would be?
I mean, it's so far in the future.
Right.
The other one is that, if they are the same world, it really doesn't matter. I mean, they wouldn't even.
Well,
because obviously the world would have already had to repair itself, get itself up into space, and then do happen. I mean, it's
Well, I think if there was ever more reason to get the fuck out and get to space,
it'll be a
you
nuclear
know,
war.
yeah, it would be that. I mean,
Yeah.
look
Well,
at
and I
old
mean,
Muskie.
Fallout is a divergent timeline anyway. So they can basically, once you're past 200 years into the future, you can really do whatever the hell you want to.
Right.
With it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I think the divergence from our actual reality timeline to the Fallout timeline supposedly happened sometime around the Korean War, like just before the Korean War. And then it split off between like reality and then the Fallout timeline.
Right.
Somewhere like around.
Yeah, it was like right before the invention of the transistor. So they didn't have transistors. They had tube technology.
Yeah, everything was still tubes. Yep, that's right. Yeah, I think the transistor was the 60s, so maybe I'm thinking 50s.
Well,
later 50s.
I think it came out in the 60s, but I don't think it was actually pushed, into main production until later.
Probably, yeah. Right. Yeah, that makes sense. So, I mean, realistically, once you go about 200 years into the future, you could diverge the timeline even further, and then all of a sudden, bada boom, bada bang, we got Outer Worlds, But I don't know. I'm really interested to see what happens with Starfield. I think that they're going to launch it, and it's going to be just like a paper airplane that's lit on fire. Just bursts into flames and hits the ground. But I don't know. We'll see.
Well, technically, it was first created in 1947.
The transistor? Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know. What do you think about Starfield, Himbo?
I think the game's going to come out, and it's going to be pretty mid, but it's going to be good. Like, good mechanically, mid.
I don't know about that.
Everything else. I think Bethesda has pretty good mechanics, in my opinion.
Their mechanics are all right, yeah, but I think the game's going to be a dumpster fire.
But
I just think if they follow their standard history, it's going to be full of bugs. Is what it's going to be.
It's going to be a dumpster fire.
Oh God, if they do, oh my God, it's the end for Bethesda. It's the end for Microsoft. It's the end for your grandma using her
I don't
walker.
think it's going to be end of Microsoft. If Bethesda screws up enough, Microsoft will just freaking
That's Michael's divergent future.
Yeah.
I think Starfield has a chance to be a decent new IP, but the whole planet thing is just a gimmick, a full gimmick.
It is. Yeah, I agree.
Oh, the AI generated or random generated.
Well, to me, it's too innovative to be like, oh, there's 1,000 planets. Like, why the fuck did he say that?
It's to get people to talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I get that point, but could you imagine the development team was like, fuck, Todd, what the fuck? No, man, look, there's 1,000 planets, but we didn't say you could go to all of them. I mean, they're there to like look at, but
right.
No, well, fuck it, man. Look, I was a part of the chess club. We'll figure this out. We'll 3D chess this shit out. You'll just we'll just read what it pretty much is they'll be going to the same planet every 1,000th time, but it'll just be, regenerated.
Right. Yeah, I could see something like that. I don't know. What was the other game that came out in 2016? No Man's Sky. It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When the condition that game came out in isn't nowhere near the shape that it's in now.
Yeah, right. It was overpromised.
Trying to be an Eve.
It was overpromised and undelivered, but now it's pretty big. It's nice. It's what it should have been at launch.
Mm-hmm.
And,
yeah.
But I just don't think games need to come out nowadays where it's like, oh, it'll be good in 5 years. It'll be good.
Well, that's my thing. They shouldn't have bothered even mentioning
updates.
Starfield yet, until they were closer to getting it out the door.
That's what we've come to expect, though. I mean, going back to Fallout, look at Fallout 76. They just removed legacy weapons 4 months ago. Game's been out for almost 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Or games doing the whole, guys, just wait, just hold out for the new expansion. We promise it's gonna get good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
a whole shit show.
Yeah. And
Yeah, well, I
it
held
turns
out for
to
2
be like a weekly
expansions on
ups.
76, and finally, the last one was the last straw.
It's still getting me all itchy to not go over there and try to finish the fucking score. I'm still itchy about it. I'm all like, God, this be the first score that I haven't done. Sad.
Sad indeed. Also, what's sad indeed, we're coming up on an hour and a half.
Mm.
I'm ready to get the fuck off this stream.
Yeah, I'm done.
It's that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there anything left that needs to be said that was unsaid?
And if there
Not
is, I'll
really.
just say it next week. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, really ain't too much. I think the Summer Games Fest though is.
Once
I
we
think
get into
that's what
June and
it's at.
July, there's definitely gonna be a
Dude,
whole
Mhm.
host of shit to
Yeah.
talk about.
Mm-hmm.
which y'all said y'all were going to be streaming on Twitch later on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
still-
I'm gonna go straight to Twitch after this and go like maybe an hour or so.
What
On
are
there.
you going to be playing?
I don't know. If Loki wants to play with me, I don't know. It's up to you. I ain't playing a goddamn Sea of Thieves though. I'll play Redfall.
There
before I
goes
play
Robert.
Sea of Thieves.
Thanks for the wonderful
Robert!
thanks
Yeah.
for the wonderful night, guys. Awesome stream, gentlemen. Stay
Yes, sir.
Kino, stay comfy. Yeah, today was just, I have a
Weird
headache
night.
that
Mhm.
is it's taking its toll.
Mm-hmm.
And just to be quite honest with you, I'm ready to get the fuck off.
It's been a weird day. It's been a weird week.
Yeah, that whole damn there's a shooter thing. It had, dude,
Mhm.
it fucked up my whole. Well, I mean, it could
Yeah.
have potentially fucked up my whole life, but luckily it
Mm-hmm.
it is what it is. Everything worked out nicely, and it is what it is. Next week we'll return, but man, I can't wait. We get that world premiere.
Mm-hmm.
What
I'm gonna
day-
play.
Your Twitch info in there?
Yeah, plug it in there real quick.
It doesn't let me.
You have to
I
do
can
on
put
the-
it in the private, but it doesn't let me do it. Like in the actual stream, I can't do any messages on the stream for some reason.
Can you copy them over, Michael? Take from private over to.
He might be able to. For some
Yeah, I
reason,
think he
I'm not
can.
able to. Mm-hmm. There we go. He's doing it.
There we go.
Maybe I'll have 3 followers.
Yeah, we'll jump on, do a little bit of. If you want to do Redfall, we'll do Redfall for a
I'll do
while.
Redfall. It's a shit ass game, but it's still a time waster and it's kind of fun. I enjoy it.
Oh my god, I was actually going to tune in too.
Thank God.
Well, I'll probably
You
do
picked the right game then.
Sea of Thieves a little later.
Oh
Yeah.
boy, that's an
Jump on,
improvement.
do Redfall now.
I got both of the links in there. If anybody feels compelled to jump in there, if not, fucking compel yourself to do so. Support these 2 fine content creators that are starting to stream.
Yeah, it's time
And,
to turn this time waster into an actual money maker. So I'm gonna start putting more stuff on the YouTube channel, and I'm gonna start doing Twitch more. I need to.
Well, I know. Look, I've already made it up in my mind. Like MK comes out,
Mm-hmm.
I'm streaming the fuck out of that one.
Yeah.
Like I know I
Same.
said that with some other games, some shit came up, but
Me
I'm not
too.
gonna let that stop for that because that's woof.
Mhm.
I'm ready. I'm ready to challenge. Hey, anybody comes in chat, motherfucker, you got the game? Come on, let's shoot them. Let's shoot the
Mhm.
ones. Let's see what you got. Let's get
Yep.
hell, I might even throw money on it. No, well, you can't gamble on YouTube, can you? That'll get you banned quick. Like,
Probably.
well, we just throw some DMs on Twitter.
It's all about wording.
Yeah, right.
It's all about wording.
A gentleman's bet.
Mm-hmm. Right on.
Prize.
Well, yeah, as always, appreciate you here.
Mhm.
Jason, appreciate you.
Mhm.
All right, guys.
Appreciate you.
You were
See you
here.
guys next week.
No, I'm playing. I appreciate you, Joseph. And Robert,
Yeah,
as always,
that
you,
Joseph
D
guy.
Rhino. I didn't know that D Rhino had sent me something on Twitter. That's what always messes me up if I'm like talking to y'all and then somebody sends me something on Twitter like, "Hey, I'll join," and then I see it like 40 minutes later, and I'm like,
Right. Yeah.
I don't even think he put it in this chat.
I didn't notice. I honestly haven't been watching chat that much tonight.
Hell, it ain't fucking moving.
Yeah, it hasn't
It's-
moved in a while.
These
It was
people don't
frozen
care
up for
about it.
me. It like stuck like about 45
They
minutes
don't
ago.
care. They don't care. We was talking shit about PlayStation, and they probably cried. They're probably crying themselves to sleep right now,
Probably.
except for Rob, because he does that every night.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm
Because
playing.
Rob's the real one.
Rob is a real one.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The realest one of them all.
Mm-hmm.
Mirror, mirror on the wall. Robert Montana Justice Cobra is the realest of them all. Everybody have one. Like, hey, there we go, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Everybody have a wonderful night. Stay Kino, stay comfy, and as always, we'll be back next week.
Later.
Later.